This is the demo. We are going to start with the circle, and when you are recording or using value, you go with the side of the pencil when you're not using lines. And I am just starting in to kind of swing the value here. And I'm just making the base of the sphere. And then after I have that, and notice how everything was in a curve, I'm going to take a tissue and I'm going to start smudging it. Now when I smudge it, I'm going in that direction, around and around, because it's like a circle. I'm using the side of my pencil again. And these are a little bit different from the ones that you are copying. I'm showing you the technique because I'm not looking at the ones that you need to do for your lesson. They're the same shapes, but the shadows might be in a slightly different place. And I want to make sure that I have that whole range on here, from dark up to light. So, but I don't want strong divisions like that. I don't want it to look stripy. I want to smooth things out. Okay, now I kind of have a gray ball. It's there, but it's not really shaded correctly yet. So I need to take my eraser and clean up the sides. And this way too, if it gets a little lopsided on one side, I can probably fix that. I need to add some lighter areas on top, so I'm just going over with the eraser. Area where the lights hit. And then I want to soften those back out because gradual is what we want. And then you have your cast shadow, which is always the darkest area. It goes underneath. And if I have areas that need to be a little bit darker, because as your sphere curves away from you, it's definitely going to be darker than it is where it's closest to your light source. Just like we did when we painted these, okay? This first one. Okay, now for the cube. To get your straight lines, because I don't want you drawing lines, you lay down a straight edge, a note card, another piece of paper, and I'm going to shade, and I'm shading right on top of the note card. And then they have you looking at this kind of in this direction. This line and this line are parallel always. This line and this line are parallel always. This line and this line. And then you connect the two. Connect it this way so I can see what I'm doing. Okay, so I have the sphere, the cube there, without it being shaded quite yet. It's darker on this corner, that's the closest part to you at this angle. And I'm going up and down. And then as I come around, it gets a little lighter. At the bottom. Back and forth, back here. The side is a little darker. So when I blend these, up and down and then side to side. Up and down, side to side. The top I'm just going across like this. Anywhere that you have a surface hit the one image hit another, there's always a cast shadow. Just shading in across the top. Firming up some edges, which I can then clean up and get clean lines again using my eraser. And the reason why that I don't want you drawing lines is because when you draw lines, when you're learning how to shade, people tend to color in, like if you were coloring in a coloring book. And that isn't really how things work. Your vision and light and objects, it relies on soft edges. So we are starting off with soft edges. You will be able to use lines later again. But for right now, you are just learning how to control your value. And don't forget your cast shadows, the darkest part. Okay. Now, next thing is the cone. The cone is similar to the sphere in that you're starting with a curve down here. And we're kind of working our way up to the middle. It curves towards you, so the darkest part for this one, the one in your example, I believe, is in the middle. And you can see I started with the curving and now I'm kind of putting in some vertical lines. Key thing with the cone, when you smudge, go in circles, half circles, and then up and down, just like we did when we were painting those shapes. This is darker in the middle. But I don't want it to look like it is right now. Right now it looks like a stripe. So I need to go in and blend that. Clean up my edges. And you can also use a straight edge to clean up your edges. And that's how you get even more precise lines. I have highlight coming down like this, more light on the side. Kind of start drawing with your eraser as well. And then my cast shadow. Okay, next up is your cylinder. Your cylinder, again, start with the swing, back and forth because you want that curvy shape. Curved at the bottom, curved at the top. And like the cone, you're going to have a dark face that you want to avoid becoming just a line. Again, I'm just lightly using the side of my pencil to get the basics down. And then the top surface is going to be super light. When I smudge it, side to side, and straight up and down, round on the top. Okay, now it's just, kind of plain gray, and you want to make sure that you have those shadows in there. Always the part furthest away the light is darker. Curve in some highlights. Straighten up some edges. And I can see that my bottom is not quite got the curve to it, so I got to make this a little bit more pronounced as a curve. This can be a little tricky. It just takes time and practice. That's why I make you practice so much with value in things, because the more you practice this kind of thing, the better you are going to get. And it's a physical skill, this sort of thing. So it's dependent upon practice. It's not about being creative. It's not about, those kinds of things right now. And it's not about being perfect the first time you do this. I mean, think about how many times I have drawn these basic shapes as both an artist and a teacher, and I'm by no means perfect, but every once in a while I have to get them out, trot them around, and make sure that I can do what I need to do. And then always cast shadow underneath it, opposite your light source, super dark. And that what gives it the illusion of sitting on the surface. Okay? And you can blend those shadows out a bit as well. Alright then. You should have these four, the linear ones, and your two value scales.